During the final days of my Shark Bay trip while camping with the 76 series, I came to a realisation. The ultimate setup doesn't exist, and it's taken me this long to figure that one out. What exactly do I mean by saying that? Since the day I decided to keep the 76 series, the concept of it is to keep it as light as practical. Not as light as possible, but as light as practical. Adding accessories is the easiest thing anyone can do. The downside is all the weight that comes with it. The hardest thing to do is finding balance between what you do and don't need. To me, this is what my 76 series is all about. For most of us people that frequently camp, we're constantly seeking the ultimate setup. The ultimate setup doesn't exist. It might be the ultimate setup at the time of thinking about it, maybe for a brief time or a brief trip. And I think understanding that the ultimate setup doesn't exist, because it's taken me a while to figure that one out, you need to have compromises. I achieved this by not worrying too much about what I had packed. I simply just made sure I had the bare bones, and anything else didn't really matter. There's a couple of things I'm probably missing, but there's a lot of things that I've realised that I don't really need. And without even knowing, I was then able to start looking at simpler ways to camp. How I'm camping now, to me, this is very basic, very simple, although to some people, this is probably too much gear. But for me, I think this is enough gear. It just needs refinement, where it is, where things are located, the amount of space like each item has. That just needs to be improved a little bit. Just have it simple. Because I find that the more stuff you have, the more things you don't use. Let's dive in and unpack the mods you have yet to see, what needs refinement, how it worked, and what most certainly didn't work. Since having a 76 series for the past 6 months, I've had a few close calls already. After this trip, there is no question about it. This vehicle definitely needs a bull bar. On the way here, while this was the camera car, this was following me, I unfortunately hit a kangaroo on the way up. The Ineos has a bull bar, this doesn't. So had it been the other way around, I would have destroyed this whole portion of the front of the car. So a bull bar is definitely something that needs to happen ASAP. And my other reason for a bull bar is I've bent up the bracket from contacting with the bigger tyres. You can even see the factory bars drop down a bit. Which bar am I going to go with? None of the ones out there at the moment complement the front of this vehicle. During the making of this video, I found one. You're going to have to wait, and so am I. Going by Mission 4x4, went on a few days before we left. Now I have to do this because I've shoved the bag in here. It needs to be decked out still. The power section's likely going to stay up here. It's kind of just quickly put in as well. But the idea is to have the charging up here, and then down here will be like a section divided for like a coffee station, so I can boil water with gas and all that. And then on this side will be like charging torches and things. It definitely needs to be sorted out. The best way to figure out what you want in there is to go on a trip. It does look messy, but that's the reality of camping without having drawers and stuff. Difficult to keep things light if you're going to add drawers and all kinds of stuff in. A subject for another time if I decide to keep the vehicle. Now the choice has been made, will I be adding drawers? No. Adding drawers will restrict the flexibility of the whole setup. If I added drawers right now to the back of the 76, I would just be pulling them out in future. Sure, if you are building a dedicated tourer, it kind of makes sense, right? It'll be neater, it'll be more organized, it'll be easier to find things, but it's also going to add unnecessary weight and a big cost, anywhere from 1,500 to maybe even 5 grand. People spend a lot of money on that kind of stuff, especially if it's custom. Unless of course you do a DIY system, which is what I was looking at doing, but then it's permanent. Even if you make it removable, like I may have spoken about in the past, it's still going to stay there, isn't it? You're not going to take it out. And that's exactly why I've stayed on this route. It's versatile, it's adaptable, it's lighter, it's easy to clean, easy to pull everything out. And what I like the most are the amount of endless combos I can do. Single box, single bag, box plus 2 bags, 2 boxes, 1 bag, or even 2 bags, triple stacker, and the straps still reach. No matter the combo,
the same straps are still going to fit. A very easy, versatile setup.
The 20-litre fridge is enough for a weekender, but not enough for 4 or 5 days or nearly a week. I find the 40-litre, it's not too wide, it's not too long, it's kind of tall, and it kind of sits there pretty good. Also enabled me to have a stack of boxes or bags next to it.
I thought I'd just give you a visual reference on a 20-litre versus 40-litre. Now, if you want to save space, I guess a 20-litre is probably not a bad idea, but to be honest, you're not losing that much extra space with the 40-litre. If you're worried about the real estate it's taking up, mount it like I have. I can actually remove the fridge. That way the whole setup is adaptable, it's versatile. And that's also why I went with that portable battery system, because I can literally unplug that, I can pull everything out.
I do enjoy cooking on fire, but Shark Bay, you can't have fires anywhere really except for over at Steep Point and that, which we were 4 or 5 days ago. But you've got to carry like a big drum with you. It has to be a contained fire. Look, anyone realistically who's camping in Australia would need some form of gas with them or some other means of cooking. A very small handful of people will use, induction cooking. You got to have so much power to run it. I am happy with gas. This cooker, although I'm not the biggest fan of it, it is practical with having a big plate like this and cooking for 2 people. And I'd be very interested to know if there are any other cookers that are very similar to this but smaller that can have a hot plate like this on top of it. Let me know in the comments below. Water storage is here. Not the greatest, needs improving, will improve. The tap really sucks, it just kept leaking.
This is the water tank I was complaining about. Let's be fair, this is an under tray water tank. It's not to go in the vehicle. Now the reason why I think it was leaking was because there was a lot of pressure on this. The hose was kind of squished under here, it was putting pressure on the tap. That's why I think it was leaking. Put that down to a user error. I'm not one for bagging out products just because I'm not using it right. But 135 bucks, if you got a wagon, don't waste your money on this. This is for a ute tray.
My feet have been getting hammered over the last couple of days here in Shark Bay, so we're going to switch to red mode. As you know, I love my red lights. The dimming function is actually epic. Last night there were so many moths up here, and being able to dim it and then putting a decoy light over yonder had all the moths just attracted to that instead.
What I haven't really spoken about is what's powering them. There is a portable battery there. Now I just want to clean it up a bit before I kind of really dive into it, but so far it's been really good. Including the lights on the front. I wouldn't say it's like entry gear, but it's entry price gear. It's been really good. Another thing I'll touch on later as well is this table, because this table is going to be replaced with the newer version. So rather than show you what this is now, I'll show you the newer version instead.
In case you haven't noticed, I installed the UHF antenna on top of this ladder, and it's on a flip down bracket like that, so it'll sit sideways when the door's shut. Hiding the wiring and putting it through was actually really easy. It's hidden inside the door. Followed the other factory wire and it's hidden inside this side panel, and then it goes underneath the carpet to where the location is. Now because I put it up here, the length of the cable was limited, but it got me to the center console. And in the center console of a 76 or any 70 series, they're kind of hollow, useless, so a great spot to put your radio. And then out of the side, drill the hole, and the handset is down by the knee. And I found that's the best spot to put it.
Radio is an XRS33C, but I've upgraded the handset so it does have the GPS function.
I do have a list of things that I need from a practicality point of view. This list will be scrutinized by my voice of reasoning, and I'll have to do my best to avoid my wants. One thing I do know at this stage, I need a bigger fuel range.
No, you don't.
I do.
No.
I need a bigger fuel range. And I've already booked that in. Speaking of booked in, the bull bar is just around the corner. There's a couple of things I am going to tweak. On the face of everything, it's going to look very much similar to what it looks like now. I don't want all the stuff because the ultimate setup doesn't exist. And it's taken me this long to figure that one out. And on that note, I'll leave you to it.